Usha Jesudasan says that it is our duty to share what we have with others. When we are fortunate, look at the less fortunate around us. See the blessings of God. We have to share with them. What you got, you have to share with them. You are happy, you are fortunate only by the grace of God. And the people around you, your brothers and sisters, they are also the children of God. You have to share your gifts with them. And so, when you enjoy a good job, if you have a good job, then you should think about the people around you. When you have a guaranteed salary, think of the poor people around you who suffer greatly. And so, think that you should have an empathetic understanding. What is empathy? Placing oneself in another person's position, getting on to the shoes of your neighbor. And so, when you see people who are less fortunate than you, remember you have an obligation towards them. They also have the right for good life and good things, but they don't have, and you have it. And so, ahimsa means for Usha Jesudasan. What does she mean by ahimsa? It is not non-violence alone, but it is trusting and being grateful to those around you. And it means respecting others around you who are less fortunate than you. And remember that they have the right to a good life and good things in life. They also have every right to enjoy all these things, but they don't have anything and you have everything. And so that is ahimsa for Usha Jesudasan. And see, this is, and again she used to talk about peace, reconciliation, forgiveness. She was a humanitarian. And all the articles focuses on these themes. And her writings are all very simple. She has a simple, lucid, very simple style. And then she used to drive her point through stories and anecdotes. And so here in this essay, she uses the story of Sean Valjean. Similarly, in other texts also, you can see that she makes use of popular stories and anecdotes to bring out her point. That much regarding the introduction part. I hope that it is clear to you. Just understand that Usha Jesudasan is going to discuss on the twin but opposed concepts of justice and mercy. Why opposed concepts? Because sometimes when you are very merciful to others, you cannot cling to the letter of the law. You cannot be showing justice. And you have to ignore justice. And sometimes you will cling on to justice, then you will become merciless to the people around. And then she redefines ahimsa. Ahimsa is non-violence. As the father of our nation has told us that only the bravest of men can practice non-violence. It is not the method of a coward. Only the bravest of men, only people with immense willpower can practice non-violence. And it is not enough. She says that ahimsa is not just non-violence. It is trusting and being grateful to those around you. And the ahimsa way begins not just with respecting the other, but also by acknowledging that the other may be more disadvantaged than you, and that they too have the right to a good life and the good things in life. That is You are fortunate not by your greatness. You are born in a good family. You have good living conditions. You have good parents. You have good siblings. Everything you have. It is not because of your greatness. It is the blessing of God. It is the grace of God. And God wants His children to share what they have with the less fortunate brethren around. And so when you enjoy a comfortable living, look around and see that the people around you, the unfortunate people around you, they also have the right to live and enjoy life. You get all these blessings while these things are denied to them. And so you should be very merciful to them. You should be able to share your gifts with your less fortunate brethren. And that is the theme of this story, this essay, and that is the point that she brings in through Victor Hugo's story. Again, the need of peace and reconciliation, the need of showing mercy and compassion to others. By showing mercy and compassion to others, you can make wonders in the society. You can transform individuals. And so this Jean Valjean, he is a classic example. The ex-convict, he changes drastically when he received kindness and compassion from a person. Who was that? A good bishop. And so that is the story. And now we will just go through some lines from the text, and in the meanwhile I will explain what is there in the text. And again, remember, she poses some questions also in this short essay, like does justice mean eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth? See, in that way, that is when you go through the text, you will understand it. This is the sum and substance of the story. So, please open the text. Now, see the first paragraph. Justice and mercy are twin concerns and challenges of every society, both in life and literature. Many people have mulled over meaning thought over, and explored these concepts. Does justice mean an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth? See, Usha Jesudasan, she begins the essay like this. She says that I am not the only person who discusses about these twin concerns, justice and mercy. Many people have thought over this idea, or they have thought over justice and mercy. And then she indirectly quotes the Old Testament of the Bible. You know, the Bible have the Old Testament and the New Testament. And in the Old Testament, justice means an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. That is, if somebody slaps on your face, you have every right to slap back. When somebody shouts at you, you can shout back. That is, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But now we are practicing the New Testament. We have the perfect model of Christ before us. And you know how Christ was crucified, not for his sins, but for the sins of the world around him. And in order to save the people around him, in order to save all of us, Christ was crucified. He has to undergo all this agony and suffering for us. And so that is the New Testament. That is the testament of peace that Usha Jesudasan presents here. And then Does justice take into account the grinding poverty that traps millions by those who have the power to exploit? That is, what about mercy and compassion for the unfortunate? For the poor people, who is there to take care of them? What about mercy and compassion for the unfortunate people around? And what about mercy and compassion for the unfortunate? Is there any room for it? Is there any space for it in this modern, fast-paced society? And so she introduced the topic slowly into the first paragraph.